I'm here to speak about security at Moore Square. You do not need to bring in armed guards. Y'all did this before with David Diaz and the city of Raleigh, complaining about black people at Moore Square. You did all of this before. You did this in 2010, 2011, 2012. You only brought in RoboCops who did not respect black people, and they practiced George Floyd. You know, we had George Floyd incident way back then. So I don't understand why David Eatman is not listening, the city is not listening. You can't do what you did before. And you did this before with David Diaz. You know, David Diaz, I never forget him because I didn't like him anyway. But we asked him for gifts for our event, and he gave us nails and barbershop, just like black people couldn't come down there and sit at a restaurant. And I told him, what in the world? But that is the impression that y'all have. That's what y'all employed the first time. That's how Oak City Cares came about, was in that big meeting, and the Salvation Army was leaving. And y'all said y'all got to get rid of the black people in Moore Square. And then you had to come over and put us in prison. That was wrong. But when I called Cassandra Deck Brown and told her what was going on, the next thing I knew, they were gone. So that meant there was something wrong with the RoboCops. And you don't need to bring them back. Raleigh is changing. This is not the same Raleigh. And I don't know why you're having a hard time believing that. It is time to employ new ideas. So again, I'm coming here recommending the Second Chance Initiative to have people down there patrolling us that look like us, that's not carrying guns, people that can defuse an incident. You don't need to go back and bring back the RoboCops. You've done that. You have done that with the permission of the old city council. Back in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, you did that. It didn't work. They treated us just like we were in prison, and they deployed that type of attitude, and that was wrong. And I'm not standing for it. This city has got to do better. When you know better, you do better. And you don't need that private duty security. It's time you look at other ways to bring about justice.
Thank you. Marilyn Alphin. And next we have Kay Manningas.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Marilyn Alphin, and I'm here for Mine Creek. The last time I was here concerning Mine Creek, I asked you all a question. In your sea of gigantic issues, do we count? Do we matter? It's obvious that we did not matter in the park's decision to relocate one of the most popular greenways in the backyard of 14 of our townhomes. During our interactions with the Parks Board, we invited them to come and see with their own eyes how a trail this close would impact our homes. They came and they saw. You could see people walking around inside their homes. You could see what they were doing. You could even see what they were wearing. We even attracted the attention of the dogs, which barked the entire time we were there. We thought, now, they see us. They understand. But this was their solution. You're looking at it on the screen. Put us behind a wall, 8 feet high, over a football field in length, and make us invisible. But look at this fence from the ridgelock side, only 20 feet from the back steps of some of our homes. And based on its north-south orientation, the ridgelock side will never see sunlight. And this is a forever wall. The time is coming when each of you must decide which side of this fence do you put your values. Will it be with the Ridgelock community that is fighting for their right to exist as a safe, vibrant, and healthy neighborhood in a beautiful natural setting that they've enjoyed for almost 40 years? Or will it be with the Parks Department? If you allow them to take our land, this will surely go down in this city as the deal of the decade. What a bargain they get. They can totally abandon the trail and stream that has been neglected for years, not have to lift a finger to replace a bridge, repair a trail, or stabilize a stream. But who has to sacrifice for this great parks bargain? Everyone here knows the answer. It's just townhome people. You must decide, do they count? Do they matter? I'm aware for some of you, we may not be on your radar, but we're not invisible. We're here to be seen and be heard, and we have been. Your decision is going to reverberate throughout this city. So I'm asking, on behalf of the Ridgelock community and on the thousands of trail users that consider Ironwood to be, and its two bridges, to be the soul of the Greenway, we ask you to be on our side of the fence. Do not let this neighborhood and this beloved trail die on your watch. We need you up there to be the protector, not the predator. There is another way. There's always been another way, and I leave here trusting you have the wisdom and the will to find it. Thank you.
Kay Manningas.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kay Meningas, and I live on Forest Lawn Court, where I have resided for 32 years. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Mine Creek project. Now, I have stood here several times before to speak on this same subject, just as I stood here in front of the Parks Board. Now, as I stood in front of them to talk about the objections of rerouting the Greenway to just a few feet from our back doorsteps, I emphasized the concern that the homeowners have for our safety, our privacy, our security, and the noise factor. With the trail being just about 30 feet from my steps, this would shine a spotlight on our homes, and it would be an invitation, I think, for more criminal activity, more break-ins, car thefts, and drug deals in my backyard. But no matter what I said or how many objections that the community had, nothing really made a difference to the park board. There was a couple of members on that board that told us that they did not care about any of those issues. Our safety was not a concern of theirs. Their only concern was about being a good steward of the money. So once again, I felt betrayed. This was our second betrayal by the Parks Board, and I hope that this council does care about our safety. And Madam Mayor, I have seen the empathy that you have for our citizens. Our community was betrayed the first time when the promises made to us by the 2014 bond referendum were broken, which I spoke to you about last month when I was here. And our third betrayal is when the Parks Board voted in July on this project. It was fraudulent in bringing this recommendation forth per Robert's Rules of Order. The chair cannot second a motion nor vote unless it is to break a tie. And you do not have to take my word for any of this. You can all go back and look at the footage. So my question is, how many more ways do we have to be betrayed before somebody steps up and does the right thing, the honorable thing, the just thing? And I hope that it will be this council that does the right thing by stopping the acquisition of our land, replacing the 2 historic bridges, and securing that section of the Greenway. And you know, the really sad thing about all of this is that it does not have to end this way. There are other ways to solve this, as Marilyn mentioned, and I have walked the trails of different parks. I've seen the work that this city is capable of doing. This is the perfect opportunity here to create a new and beautiful space, something memorable and extraordinary space for future trail users, something that this city could be proud to put their name on, something that would make all of you look good. So I'm asking this council, please do not approve this project. Please vote no. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Jim Samborski, and then after that is Sarah Mason.
Good evening. My name is Jim Samborski. I live at 5744 Forest Lawn Court in Ridgelock Townhomes. Today I rise to oppose the option 2 of the Mine Creek Greenway project. Please support option 1. First off, I do freely acknowledge the power of the city to take my land. But generally, you're not allowed to get it for free, and you're not entitled to a discount. So we're going to talk about those things a little bit later on. Any questions I ask are rhetorical or to myself. The first is, how much is my land in Ridgelock really worth? That's what I hope to answer. I do have one slide. This is prepared by staff, not by me. I'm in general agreement with it, and I just want to talk about a couple of the color codes on here. So there's a color code for green for the greenway, brown for the two bridges, and gray for the existing greenway. So when I look at the option 2 budget for the greenway easement of $70,000, I just think it's extraordinarily low. And I'm going to explain why that is. I think there are 3 areas we deserve compensation in Ridgelock. First is the area of the land being taken. Second is the location of the land. And third, the existing northern bridge situation. So first up, with a greenway trail, the new greenway trail would be north of the northern bridge and to south of the southern bridge, roughly speaking. That's most of our land there. I could see $70,000 for that portion of the greenway trail, but the white area there that goes all the way to Mine Creek, that is essentially being taken as well because we're going to be blocked off from that. So my number is more close to like $250,000. I would also note you basically get a free miniature dog park there because there's no fence on the east side. The fence will be on the west side for us, but greenway walkers can go all the way into the white area, all the way up into Mine Creek. It's also likely because they won't be on the bridges. The second part just refers to the fact that's half my backyard, roughly. You can see some of the dimensions there. If that area were to our tennis courts, that number would be 0. But taking half my backyard, I've come up with about 10% of the townhome value, which is $25,000. At 14 is $350,000. So obviously my price of land is going up there. And then finally, if you look, it's hard to see on this too well, but the northern bridge is actually on Ridgelock property, and it's been there for about 40 years or so. We found out maybe about 10 years or so ago. So even if you get a greenway easement going forward and you condemn the land, I still think you owe us some compensation for the past 40 some odd years that your greenway's been on our property. So with those numbers, I'm at about $700,000, which is about 10 times what's in the budget. Again, I think our land's worth it. I'd much prefer that you go with option 1 and you don't have to take any of our land. Thank you very much for your work on behalf of the city of Raleigh. Ridgelock cares about Raleigh. Ridgelock cares about the greenway as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good evening, City Council members. My name's Sarah Mason. I'm a resident of Ridgelock community. I've lived in this community for just over 2 years. I came to this area as a new homeowner looking for a safe space to start a family. Many affordable homes in Raleigh do not offer the unique amount of peace and privacy that Ridgelock and Forest Lawn Court have. So that's what originally drew me to that neighborhood. The residents have started a petition, which I've provided you with now over 900 signatures, and have also provided you with a handout of testimonials from neighbors who are deeply concerned about this realignment. So I would like to take this time to read some of the comments from the public that is opposed to this plan, as these are the taxpayers who walk the trail and live in the community and enjoy the greenway system. So some of the comments include, it is the most enjoyable part of the greenway on the way to Shelley Lake, and the narrow lane and curves help slow down bikers. This is the most beautiful part of the greenway where we walk. Please don't destroy this. Everything else around us is changing drastically. Mega mansions dwarfing our homes, clear cutting our beautiful trees, walls of ugly condominiums. Please don't disrupt this section of our greenway too. I walk this trail almost every weekend and cannot stomach the thought of it being changed. This is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, and I'm deeply disturbed about it. I'm so glad I saw the petition to sign. My family loves this greenway and we use it often. There are other ways to save money. I met my wife on this bridge. It is very sentimental to me. The winding path between the two bridges is the highlight of my walk. I feel like I'm in a secret garden every time I walk through. Please don't destroy it. It's my favorite part of the walk. I hope they leave it alone. This is an invasion to my neighbors' backyards. They don't deserve to lose their privacy and space between them and this public trail. I grew up on these trails These bridges are a great place to observe the wildlife below, something I wish other families have the opportunity for, including my own. We understand the need for upkeep. We understand the need for maintaining safe trails and bridges. There are new bridges being built within walking distance from this section of the trail. And there are hundreds of small trees that will begin to flourish after new light from the ongoing sewer project. Please do not vote to pass this decision. There is another way. There is compromise here. The safety of the residents matter. We matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Brown.
Good evening. Thank you for your service, and thank you for letting me speak. I ride my bike on the Mine Creek Greenway, and that section is really beautiful. Please don't change it. The Raleigh Christmas Parade is a beloved and beautiful part of Raleigh's culture. It is the largest parade between Washington and Atlanta. Several thousand Raleigheites march or ride in the parade. 80,000 line the streets, and another 200,000 watch it at home. Downtown businesses fill with customers. It is a delightful event for young and old. Thank you for not letting the parade be canceled completely. But by not allowing any vehicles to take part, you are allowing only half the parade. The antique tractors and cars are much loved by the people, and they've never caused any problems. Many parade participants are unable to walk the mile and a half due to physical limitations. Many of the floats are sponsored by businesses that pay a fee. This is what pays for the parade. And finally, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus need to ride in their sleigh. They are too old and chubby to walk a mile and a half. Yes, there was a tragic accident last year after 75 years of no notable accidents. The parade organizers have already adopted new safety protocols. In any case, the city is not liable for accidents on city streets. This is why the city was not named in the lawsuit. Of course, the city attorney will advise the most prudent course. That is her duty. Your duty as our elected leaders is to weigh the value of the parade to the community against the remote risk of a future accident. Anything wonderful and beautiful in this world must be nurtured and protected, or it will be lost due to carelessness, greed, fear, or other forces. This parade is one of Raleigh's treasures. Please nurture and protect it. Please at least allow the antique cars and tractors. I know it was not originally council's fault that the parade was canceled, but if you take no action now, you will be responsible for canceling half of it. Please pass a motion at your next meeting to allow the vehicles with the new safety protocols. Thank you.
Tony Strickland. Is Tony Strickland here?
Good evening, Mayor Baldwin and City Council members. My name is Tony Strickland. I am speaking on the Mine Creek project. You have received a package that was presented to the Parks Board as part of the vast amount of homework done by the Ridgelock community to stop the invasion of a greenway into their homes. It's a timeline that accounts for the Mine Creek Ridgelock Parks Board interactions. It is well known that keeping the trail where it is now will be more costly than just putting a straight path behind the Ridgelock homes. Each delay raises that cost, and delays have been going on for almost 20 years. It's time for Ironwood's renovation, not its destruction. The question concerning cost is, what do you want to pay for? You know, an investment in the future or a cheap, quick fix for the present. Think forward 10 years from now as you guys look out. Option 1, the small left behind the trees are now maturing, a cleared path, a stabilized stream, and those talking bridges Sarah referred to are still there, a place where new memories can still be made. Option 1 is an investment in the future. Option 2, in 10 years, a sterile, forgettable path, a decaying fence that has no place on a greenway, and a path only appreciated by cyclists and skateboarders who can now zoom through at high speeds. Do you want to build something that appreciates in time, although costs more, or something that depreciates the day after it is erected? You may hear the Parks Department say they worry about hurricanes that can come and swoop away the new bridges. If that is a concern, why is the Parks Department still replacing old bridges and building new bridges across the creeks? If they can build bridges all over the Greenway, they can build ironwood bridges. We welcome all of you to come to Ridgelock so you can see with your own eyes the potential of a new ironwood trail, at the same time to observe firsthand how the Greenway would impact our neighborhood. It will be up to you to protect and preserve the historic ironwood trail, and at the same time keep Ridgelock a safe, healthy, and vibrant neighborhood. The Ridgelock community, as well as the 900 plus and still counting petition signers, are counting on you. So please vote no in putting the Greenway in the homeowner's backyard. They lose all their security. Thank you for your time and consideration on this highly important issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Crew.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Adopting preservation as a value requires us to take stock of what we have. Our cultural heritage and natural environment are ours to save or to squander and lose. Growth isn't bad, it is inevitable, but untrammeled growth should not be the default here. Another name for that kind of growth is cancer. In the last 10 years, Wake County lost 10% of its tree canopy. Here in the city of Oaks, that loss has disproportionately come to the underserved and older established neighborhoods. According to an article carried on NC Newsline last month, the Wake County Land Cover Analysis and Tree Canopy Assessment shows that underserved communities like those along New Bern Avenue already tend to have fewer trees and more concrete. These census tracts contain on average 6% less tree canopy cover and 10% more impervious surface, buildings, parking lots, and streets that absorb heat. Residents of these urban heat islands disproportionately experience environmental and public health burdens such as poor air quality, higher risk of heat-related illness, higher energy bills, and damage to roads and buildings because of thermal expansion and contraction. In Raleigh, tree loss is especially acute in northeastern and southeastern parts of the city where growth and development are widespread. Half the entire city lacks a tree canopy. Recent activity shows that corporate investors are most active in low-income and minority neighborhoods in these same areas. Development concessions given to corporate entities who are speculatively buying up land destabilize our neighborhoods and drive up property taxes to the detriment of the underserved and the elderly. Where are these citizens, our neighbors, supposed to go? Raleigh's development incentives for housing that is affordable at 60% AMI is hollow. Let's do the math right quick here. 60% AMI for a family of four is $67,980 per year. That's $33.90 an hour. 30% of that for housing is $1,699 per month. Average rent for a two-bedroom in Raleigh, $1,760 a month. Your incentive represents a benefit to renters of $60.50 a month. That's not even a week's worth of groceries. And it puts wealth in the pockets of developers who are involved in $70 million projects. What are the solutions? Target education and outreach to generational homeowners about the value of their property to help prevent dissolution of naturally occurring affordable housing. Use your GIS tools to analyze real estate transactions and patterns of ownership at the parcel level and devise strategies to preserve neighborhoods and family ownership. Put the staff to work developing programming and funding sources to support and foster home maintenance and repairs and development.
Thank you, Chris.
Save the Christmas parade.
Pat Butler. Pat Butler. Is Pat here?
Good evening, Pat Butler. When the City Council offered an apology acknowledging the city's past participation in slavery, segregation, and the enforcement of Jim Crow, it received great headlines. But the attention soon faded because there was no follow-up on the most significant part of the resolution to establish a racial equality and reparative justice commission. An apology without action does not make a difference to Black African Americans' lives. It lacks consequence. When a government apologizes sincerely and adequately, it's an acknowledgement and expression of remorse for the harms committed. This apology should include a commitment to change and plans for acts to repair and help restore with dignity. The apology must do more than admit past wrongdoing. It must demonstrate that the apologizer is willing and prepared to make amends and to continually make a best effort to do better. The task force should have a strong, long-term vision for sustainable change. Restorative justice is not just a way to acknowledge past injustices, but to focus on our empathy and compassion as humans for providing equal opportunities to our fellow humankind. It makes us better humans. Reparative justice is about a transformation, not just a transaction. Thank you.
Robert Courts.
My name is Robert Courts, and I reside on Ashland Street in Raleigh. And for over 20 years, I have been the self-proclaimed champion of local businesses. And I am not here today to address the council, but rather you, the average Raleigh citizen. Are you, the Raleigh citizen, one of the tens of thousands who are wondering why a city manager would cancel a 75-year Christmas tradition known as the Raleigh Christmas Parade without input from, well, anyone, frankly? Or perhaps you're one of the local business owners that provide Raleigh with its unique character, and you're wondering why your downtown local brethren had to come before the city council and plead to protect their customers and employees. Or perhaps you're simply sitting at home tonight wondering what the impact of upzoning, AKA missing middle, will have on what impact they will have on the unique character of your neighborhood. Well, Raleigh, fear not, because I have the answer to all these ailments and more. And that answer, simply put, is citizen engagement. Yes, Raleigh, citizen engagement is the very cornerstone of a good government. Thomas Jefferson said, "The government you elect is the government you deserve." And if you want a better government, Raleigh, citizen engagement is the answer. And I stand here today with 3 helpful hints and tips to help you take your engagement and your advocacy from an acorn into a mighty oak. First, start now, act today. Opportunity is standing by for you to get engaged. Take a hint from Councilwoman Jones's motto to stand up, show up, speak up. Your voice does matter. Second, do a little homework every day. It can seem very daunting to take on the things such as homelessness, transportation, government that is not responsive. But if you do a little homework every day, you can find a way, you can find a path. And finally, Raleigh, please take advantage of 3 programs that the Raleigh staff has had and created for your engagement. The first is the Raleigh Neighborhood College, a 12-week program where they introduce you to the departments and even the city employees that run this government. And then consider the 8-week class known as the Citizen Leadership Academy, where they will teach you how to become a leader and lead from the middle out. And then finally, take everything you've learned to your Raleigh Neighborhood Registry. And remember,
Thank you,
the
Robert.
government you want is right here in your backyard.
Shavin Williams. Is Shavin here? Shavin Williams. Okay. Andrea Fennell.
Hello. Hold on 1 minute. All right. Cash payments must be, when it comes to reparations, cash payments must be prioritized for several crucial reasons. Hold on. First and foremost, cash provides immediate and tangible relief to Black Americans who have endured generations of systematic oppression and racial injustice. It acknowledges the economic impact of slavery and systematic racism, allowing individuals to have agency in how they utilize funds to address their specific needs and aspirations. Secondly, cash payments serve as a symbolic recognition of the debt owed to Black Americans. Monetary compensation is a direct acknowledgement of the unpaid labor. You paying attention?
Yes.
All right. Exploitation and trauma inflicted upon enslaved individuals and their descendants, it signifies as a commitment to rectify past wrongs and provides a sense of justice and restitution for the enduring social economic disparities, despite persist today. Furthermore, cash payments have the advantage of flexibility. They can be utilized according to the individual's needs and circumstances of the recipient, whether it is to address education purposes, involve living conditions, start a business, or invest in a community. Development cash reparations grant agency and autonomy to Black Americans to decide how to best utilize the funds for their own advancement. In conclusion, prioritizing cash payments in reparation is necessary to step towards rectifying the historic and ongoing economic injustice faced by Black Americans. It is not only acknowledges the immense harm caused by slavery and systematic racism, but also provides an opportunity to address the wealth gap, empower individuals, and fosters great economic equality. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Lewis.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you guys for allowing me to speak. I'm a 48-year-old resident of Raleigh who has lived here my entire life. I'm sorry. Okay. My father, Dr. H. Donnell Lewis, is a member of the Board of Trustees of Shaw University, and that's why I'm here tonight. I am 3rd generation alumni of Shaw University, and my son, who's 20, is now 4th generation. The blatant disregard and disrespect of this HBCU by the city of Raleigh historically is very disturbing. How can this city that I love stand back and watch millions of dollars being invested on virtually every side of this prestigious HBCU and do nothing? We're looking at millions of dollars of gentrification as Shaw U is in shambles. Shaw U has crumbling buildings, broken elevators. It's just not fit to facilitate improper education. Shaw is the 2nd oldest HBCU in this country and the oldest in the South. Shaw alumni alumni founded virtually every other HBCU in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, excluding St. Aul because it's Episcopalian and Shaw is Baptist. Lots of blacks would not have had the opportunity to get education if it was not for Shaw University. I, as a taxpaying citizen, begs the city to at least create a panel alongside Shaw alumni to address these issues. It's just simply the right thing to do. Thank you again.
Thank you. Nicole Williams. Is Nicole here? Okay, let's see her. William Biggs. Or Woody Biggs. You got formal.
Yes. All right. Tonight, I don't want to go over any particular recent crime statistics, but I want to talk about how crime and noise affect real estate. I was a residential real estate agent for 26 years here. Crime and noise affect who want to live in an area and who want to come visit an area. In my 26 years, I noticed a shift in buyers. I used to have buyers in the Glenwood South area tell me they would look at this particular building, but they wouldn't look at this side of a building because that was a problem side of the building. As it transitioned in my latter years, I had people saying, I don't want to look at Glenwood South. I know of a couple who has lived in a Glenwood South condo for 9 years. They will only do dinner on weekends in Glenwood South if they can be home by 9 p.m. They are tired of the Glenwood South issues and are looking to move out. I know of a woman who rents in Glenwood South, and when her lease is up, she plans to buy, but not in Glenwood South. A friend who lives in Glenwood South told me recently he's been in Glenwood South since 2003 and loved when people asked him about how it was to live in Glenwood South. He thought it was cool. Now everyone who asks about Glenwood South, they only ask to see how the crime and the noise is in Glenwood South. He said he's embarrassed to say he lives in Glenwood South and is now looking to move out. Now I'd like to read 2 excerpts from an email Hillary Davis sent you, all of you on the council there. She had a friend who came to Raleigh to look at it, and she said they went so far as to make an offer on a home only to withdraw the offer days later. The constant news headlines reporting assaults, stabbings, shootings ultimately scared them away. She had a friend who was looking to do her bachelorette party in Raleigh until one of the bridesmaids stumbled upon articles about shootings in Glenwood South. Unfortunately, the young ladies decided that Raleigh was not a safe destination for them to celebrate. I read a Nextdoor post about a former DC area lady who said she had read all the positive accolades about Raleigh and moved here and feels she was duped as there is so much crime here. This city needs to get tough on the crime and noise before it's too late. As Phil Poe said in the Safe, Vibrant Communities meeting, this is a crisis. We are well beyond calling Glenwood South and downtown problem areas. I mentioned in the May or June meeting the idea of a curfew for Glenwood South. I bring it up again and think it should be considered. I sent all of you an article about Indianapolis, which installed a curfew in a problem area they had. Councilwoman Black, you didn't get that email because it bounced back to me, so I'm sorry you didn't get that email. Bold actions need to be taken
Okay, Woody,
to save Glenwood South.
your time's up.
And
Thank
downtown.
you.
Thank you.
Shane Collins.
Thank you for the time, Mayor and Council, and I do have a song. It's Money, 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 ABBA. I work all night, I work all day, we all do. To pay the bills I have to pay, ain't it sad? And still, there never seems to be a single penny left for me. That's too bad. In my dreams, I have a plan. If I got me someone wealthy, I wouldn't have to work at all. I'd fool around, have a ball. Money, 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 must be funny in the rich man's world. Developer Richard Gerlitz of Chapel Hill, population 60K, faced an unfriendly council with his planned 212-unit apartment complex meant to replace current 65-unit affordable Kings Arms apartments in Chapel Hill. Only 31 of the new units would be affordable. Why can't Raleigh do the same to request affordable housing of developers? Not all the units affordable, just a few. 31 out of 212 is not bad. Thank you, Megan Patton, for initiating approval of $68,000 to CASA to offset rent increases of redeveloped Raleigh apartments at Grosvenor Gardens. But this is only for 1 year. After a year, something else has to be figured out, or the renters have to leave. On permits, there should be exceptions for permitting to feed the homeless in the city park. It's a city park for all people. Since the nonprofits feeding homeless do not operate for profit, there could be an exception for the nonprofits feeding the homeless in the city park. On pay increases for all city workers is encouraged in the city planning for the budget. 5% last year's budget was a start, but inflation is nearly 5% this year and was over 5% last year, so a dollar does not last long, even with a 5% increase. So I leave you with a thought. Money, money, money. It's always sunny in the rich donor's world. Thank you.
Frank Helima.
Frank Helima. At council last Tuesday, October 3, appointments to fill vacancies on boards and commissions were considered. 2 nominees to the Human Relations Commission received the 5 votes required to confirm appointment to that body. We will watch a short video in which our mayor complains, perhaps even whines, that her recommendations to fill the vacancies on the commission were not adopted.
I probably wouldn't be as concerned, but I did bring this up last time and express these concerns and said I was going back to the community to ask for their recommendations. So obviously that was fell on deaf ears. So that's unfortunate.
I quote the mayor, "Obviously that fell on deaf ears, so that's unfortunate." A couple of fitting expressions come to mind. Welcome to the club, and now the shoe is on the other foot. I understand your feelings, Madam Mayor. I've been coming to council for 13 months speaking about the deleterious consequences of the missing middle to neighborhoods. I and my neighbors in Hayes Barton feel it's been falling on deaf ears. Residents of Woodcrest, where 7 townhomes are slated to be built in a sideways orientation on the scraped clean lot in this photograph, must feel that their concerns also are falling on deaf ears. Add to this how the residents of Brookside, Laurel Hills, and Brookhaven feel about the unintended effects of missing middle where they live. And what about the citizens from across Raleigh who turned out for the More Homes, More Choices sessions last winter and shared their concerns about the negative consequences of missing middle? Their feedback has fallen on deaf ears, in spite of Patrick Young and Robin Tatum saying you can make modifications to the text changes. Concerns that missing middle incentivizes the destruction of naturally occurring affordable housing in favor of replacing it with luxury homes have fallen on your deaf ears. Do our citizens who feel concerned about the sweeping changes proposed for the New Bern Avenue TOD corridor feel that ears are hearing what they have to say about the risks of gentrification and displacement of Raleigh's most economically challenged citizens? Those of us in Raleigh who are concerned with preservation of historic structures feel that our pleas to protect these buildings are falling on deaf ears, with the mantra being development full steam ahead. Do the homeowners along Mine Creek section of the Greenway sense that their concerns are falling on deaf or hearing ears? Again tonight, I note that my request that my Frisian ethnicity be respected with correct pronunciation of my name have fallen on the deaf ears, blind eyes, and hard heart of Mayor Baldwin, it's unfortunate that turnabout has become fair play.
So I just want to add something. What you didn't see in the video, or what wasn't shown, was I was advocating for Jewish representation and Indian representation on our Human Relations Commission, which is now lacking. And I think in light of what happened in Israel, the tragedy, and also the 300 people who showed up last night for the Solidarity Day would probably not say, give me a break. We were all there in solidarity. And I think that our Human Relations Commission does deserve Jewish and other representation. So that's the part that was missing.
I'd like to add
next.
something really quickly since we're talking now.
Ms. Jones? No.
This is
Tim Niles?
I'd just like to add for
No.
clarification that the spot that I
No.
put through is vacant because he does not live in. So your spot is still open to do that. So please don't manipulate this.
But you went ahead
Please
and
don't.
did what you did.
And
So
I'll do it again, and I would do it
That's
again.
right.
But right now,
I was just asking for Jewish representation. Thank you very
asked it
much.
after 3 times of us not doing it. Don't put that on us like we were manipulating you. She got 5 votes. They got 5 votes. You went against what the vote was.
Okay, we will have some decorum, please. Tim Niles. Tim Niles?
All you had to do was make nominations. Good evening. I want to address the June 30th Manager's Report, which was a response to my earlier comments about the Planning Department's misuse of the Expanding Housing Choices Vision theme. You can see highlighted here the intent of this theme is to increase affordable housing. Planning uses it for any increase in any housing type. They rebutted my comments with their theory that housing affordability in high-demand markets benefits from an increase in market rate housing and trickle-down. They cited 2 studies. I have more research showing density in hot markets does not improve affordability. For example, higher urban densities associated with the worst housing affordability from New Geography. I'll send you the links. You may recall I discussed trickle-down last time, and city staff admits it takes decades to occur by citing this study from Upjohn. One example I spoke about was Clover Lane, a rental complex of 56 units built in the 60s that has trickled down to affordability. You upzoned it to allow it to be replaced with 310 market rate units. You could have negotiated to include the same number of 56 affordable units as a benefit for the increased entitlement given to the applicant while allowing them to benefit financially from 254 additional market rate units. Maybe even go crazy and ask them to increase from 56 to 60 affordable units while still gaining 250 at market rate. A win-win for everyone. Out of curiosity, I looked up the data for this case. In this case, like others and others like it, was marked as consistent with the Expanding Housing Choices Vision theme. So the same theme planning uses to justify cases with no affordable housing because it will eventually trickle down is also used to justify eliminating existing affordable housing that has trickled down and replace it with market rate. This is the ultimate case of circular logic. Or it's the planning department playing a cruel game of heads they win, tails we lose. It's the exact opposite of our state motto, which is to be rather than to seem. Instead, we give the appearance of support for affordable housing while destroying it. Whatever it is, let's just sum up with a quote from one of our country's great legal minds. Don't pee on my leg and try to convince me it's raining. Thank you.
Nathaniel Dibble. Okay, thank you. Donna Bailey.
My name is Donna Bailey. I'm hearing a theme tonight. Where's my picture? I have a video. I have a picture. I sent in a picture. I sent it Thursday or Friday, probably Friday. I definitely sent it before the deadline. Very suspect. Okay. All right. I'd like to talk to you tonight about how the city of Raleigh has declined under the leadership, or let's say lack of leadership, with Mary Ann Baldwin. Since Mary Ann took office, her primary goal was to serve the development community and cut out citizen engagement. She raised almost $1 million from the developers with her last campaign. That's almost unheard of. One of her first moves was to disband the 50-year-old Citizen Advisory Councils. That was a process for citizens and council to interact with two-way information. It has been 3.5 years, and there is still nothing in place. It's been 3.5 years since the past council tried to silence citizens. There is still no replacement. 9 of the 18 CACs are still functioning and providing valuable information to their neighborhoods, but the 9 CACs that are no longer in existence are in Black and brown communities, making them more inequitable than before. One of the gifts to her developer supporters, not to one of her, all the developer supporters, was passing the unprecedented missing middle zoning throughout the entire city. This affected almost every resident of Raleigh with almost no input from residents. I keep hearing that, no input from residents. All these major things happening, no input from residents. Is that a mistake? No, that's very deliberate. Can you imagine how much better the missing middle changes could have been if the changes were vetted first through the 18 CACs? Mary Ann led a change in how Raleigh elects its leaders from a majority to a plurality and extended her term in office by 1 year. She did not win with majority, so wonder why that happened. The homeless rate has greatly increased under the mayor's tenure. There are 6,000 individuals seeking shelter. 70% of those unhoused are from recent displacements. Under the mayor's helm, the city has lost an unprecedented amount of NOAA, naturally occurring affordable housing. Almost all the new development that was approved under the mayor's leadership has been for luxury apartments and homes with almost no concessions for affordable housing. Larry Jarvis was quoted that the city is losing 4,000 NOAA units a year. The crime rate has been continually increasing, with areas like Glenwood South and parts of downtown becoming too dangerous for most residents. The increased crime rate has been detrimental to businesses. It's unfortunate that my visual, this was when Mary Ann was holding up a Mayor of Drunktown t-shirt. She has been successful as a Mayor of Drunktown. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Fitzpatrick.
Yes, as many know, I've spoke before. I'm Denise Fitzpatrick, and the address 2200 New Bern. Greetings to you all. I hate CPS corruption. Something needs to be done about that too. But I hate racism. I hate housing discrimination. I hate any kind of injustice. Tonight, I'm standing here because I hate the dangerous conditions at Moore Square Transit Station. Moore Square Transit Station is very scary. Scary ain't the word for it. It's very dangerous. You have these officers that now, no offense to you guys, but and some of the officers are my friends. I have some friends that are the officers here in Wake County. But we got these Jeeps now. I don't know what these Jeeps are for, but you have 4 in each Jeep, and you have these ones in these Jeeps, and they're laughing, and they're chatting, and then they take off in these Jeeps, leaving no protection in Moore Square. I was thinking, Mayor Barber, I was thinking that after the stabbing, the recent stabbing at Moore Square, I thought that there would be more officers, at least one that was stationed. They need to be stationed or posted there, but they're not. There's just, sometimes you look around, there's just none. Where are they? Maybe they're riding the Jeep around the corner and laughing and talking and parked. And somebody's getting stabbed at Moore Square. It could be my child, your kids probably don't have to ride the public transportation. But it could be your dad, your grandmother. Moore Square is off the chain. It's very dangerous. I meant to send some pictures in because I was showing that Moore Square, there's no officers there. Where the heck are they at? Can we get some protect and to serve? You know, I'm with the ACLU. I'm a People Power Action Leader. And I look around and I think power, we the people. I think about the framers of the U.S. Constitution, but I know that we the people were giving some kind of hearsay in this thing. We need more protection at Moore Square Park. I'm scared to death. I said I could get me a vehicle. I had a vehicle years ago and I haven't drove for a long time. I'm a victim of housing discrimination in Wake County. I said I need to get me a vehicle. If I get killed down here. And the buses are very dangerous too. The guys will grab out. I know we got surveillance on the buses, but a gentleman will grab out with a knife, and I'm thinking the driver should stop or radio or somebody. We get killed on here. Pecan up here. It's off the chain. What I'm saying tonight, as a fighter for civil rights, with us all having civil rights regardless of color, can we get
Thank you.
some protection?
Kimberly Mukhtarian.
Good evening, council members. Dr. Kimberly Mukhtarian, 713 Trout Lily Place, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27610. I am addressing the council because though this is the 1-year anniversary of the Hedingham murders, I'm addressing the murders that are right here in our backyard on a daily basis or monthly at Raleigh North. And I don't know if you've heard of Raleigh North, but it does exist. Anybody heard of Raleigh North? Raise your hand if you've heard of Raleigh North, because that's where the majority of your murders are coming from, and shootings. Now, Omar Abdullah received 38 days for defrauding 15 black men and putting them behind bars at the cost of taxpayers. We paid up to $3 million for something he said he was trained to do. We have a police advisory board. I don't understand how we pay $3 million for something that he was trained to do. So how do we advise the police department on better training when the police advisory board don't know what he did because it is disclosed? So you hire bad cops and we pay for it. Not only do you do that, but Omar Abdullah decided to do 3 drug busts and food lions across Southeast Raleigh. Hold on, can somebody stop so my mayor can give me respect and put her phone down? I'm gonna back up. Let me know when you're ready.
It's your only job, Marianne. It's public comments, nothing else.
Your time's being used, Kimberly.
No, your time is being used because when you do that, you help murder our black men. when you show no consideration and you pretend like you care about Jews, but you don't care about your own citizens in the backyard, you are the murderer, Mary Ann. And let me say this. It took you 250 years to even decide you were going to apologize to the black community. And for Omar Abdullah to host 3 drug busts in the parking lot of Food Lion in Raleigh North doesn't do anything but entice our black children to say that we can withstand your pain. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop that you retired the other week is our way of saying we can take your abuse. So until you can start doing drug busts at Harris Teeter, Publix, Trader Joe's parking lot, do not come to the South Side and do open drug busts in our community so our children can become numb to the discrimination that you give. Where's my 5 minutes? I don't care what you say, Mary Ann. You're not a mayor. You're a Missy.
Thank you.
On a plantation.
Thank you.
And
That's
it
very
shows
kind.
in the ratio
Del
of black
Monte
people.
Crawford.
Shame on
is
you.
Next. That is against
You made up the rules
rules.
as you go,
So-
and we're going to tell you this. Shame on you, Mary Ann. And I hope the others can help us with a resolution that can say that we protect our young children so they don't go to Wake County and start shooting up the schools, because we don't get the same kind of recognition.
Kimberly,
I said we don't get
time
the
is
same
up.
kind of help. Help me.
Your time is up.
No, it's not. I said it is not. Yeah, get your police. Because I got bail money.
Next is Josh Bradley.
You get a heart, now I'll give you back your time.
Next is Josh Bradley. Del Monte conceded his time. Then come on up. Change your mind. Come on.
I don't need a mic. So I mean, whether you start my time or not, I really don't need a mic. Good evening, council. The purpose of me being here tonight was to talk with Jonathan, Councilwoman Patton, and Jones about purchasing homes that are currently for sale. But I would like to speak with you separately about that, including Patton and Jones. But good evening, Mayor, or should I say Mayor, Madam Mayor Baldwin. I'm DeMonte Crawford, civil rights activist, also a member of True Healing Under God, known as Thug, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Here this evening to give a message entitled Lip Service. This message is special to me as we hit near the 1 year anniversary of the Raleigh mass shooting that took place in October 2022, a little after 5 p.m. I know where I was at. I was with Jonathan, Patton, almost everybody here, including you, but you left. Now, I was going to give scripture, but I only have about 2 minutes, and I know it may take a little bit longer. But the message was going to come out of Psalm 78, chapters 35 through 38. I won't go through the scripture, but I'll give you a conclusion. The conclusion of Psalms is, it shows so clearly the result of forgetting, and that's something that you tend to do. Forgetfulness leads to doubt, which leads to unbelief. Unbelief leads to disobedience and rebellion. Our hope is that God is merciful and faithful, and that he will keep his promises to save the people. Unlike you, Madam Mayor Baldwin, the people are tired of your lip service. When it came to affordable housing, you have students, you have Miss Nicole sleeping at NC State Library. When it came to George Floyd, you didn't give a damn. When it came to the Raleigh mass shooting, you shook, but you never shook for your community. When it came to Darrell Williams and getting tased, where were you? How many lips did you give John Kane to build on Dorothea Dix plantation? How many lips did you service on the 10-point plan with Shaw University regarding George Floyd? And Madam, how many lips did you service to filibuster the reparative justice resolution from April 18th, 2023 to July 6th, 2023? You can stand with Israelites, but you won't stand with your people. Lastly, fuck your thoughts. They've fallen on deaf ears. We want change, not lip service.
Josh Bradley.
I never tell you how awkward it is to have palsy in an arm until you have to do things like that. Joshua Bradley, 1324 Spring Lawn Court. And before I go into that, it's pretty crass that you're trying to use the fracas that's happening in the Middle East for political gain, when a month ago there were people that were actually anti-Semites delivering material into North Raleigh and nothing was said. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's not even complicated. That's anti-Semitism. Anyway, mayor and councilors, there's been a lot of talk of crime lately. I was able to listen to the stream from the Save Vibrant Community Board's member. There were a lot of business folks who can take time off to work to attend in the middle of the day that were concerned. They seem to want more policing to keep their businesses safe. This doesn't really address the root cause or do anything to make the area safer. The only thing statistically shown to reduce crime is provide housing and services to those who need it. It's the only thing statistically shown. As Moore Square was given to the city as a place for the poor in the city, it is immoral and unconscionable to try to drive them out. This smacks of racism and classism. Now that the burger place is closing, it could be diverted to bathrooms and showers for folks who don't have access. That's a good idea. When it comes to Glenwood South, it seems weird to me that businesses that sell a lot of an intoxicating substance that lowers users' inhibitions are concerned about the crime up in their area. The easy solution would be to stop selling alcohol, or at least closing the bars earlier. The city should not spend more money that could be used on other more important things on containing a problem that is fueled by the businesses in the area. If they want to operate a bar, then they should pay for the extra security needed to protect them and the local area from the problem that they directly contribute to. Also, it may be a good idea to put a hold on these social districts until their effect on crime in the area is studied in greater detail. In regards to next year's elections, are any of you willing to take a pledge not to take money from developers? I'm planning on running again, and I will not take any money from businesses. Not that there's a lot of queue of businesses lining up to donate to a socialist campaign. As a representative of the people, you should represent all the people. It still seems that the majority of you are concerned only about the interests of the businesses, developers, and the bourgeois of the city. Gentrification, unfortunately, is proceeding apace. With the unhoused population continuing to grow, your primary focus should be on housing and services, not dog parks and more police. And I'm almost out of time. I have more, but I'm going to skip it. Lastly, please raise your hands if you visited a Baldwin borough or an encampment since the last time. Anyone? Anyone? Homeless liaison? Mayor? Okay. And I'm going to get this quote out if it kills me. I'll end with Lincoln from his second inaugural. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is superior to capital and deserves a much the higher consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Zainab Baloch.
Zainab Baloch, 8216 Coosa Court. Today is World Mental Health Day, and I think it's only fitting to come and speak out in support of establishing the HEART program in Raleigh, like in Durham, a program that implements an alternative response unit to respond to mental health crises, an initiative that if a person in crisis calls 911, they would have a licensed clinician and a support team come help them. I'm here to humanize that experience. Most of you know me as an activist here in Raleigh. What most of you probably don't know is that I have a dual diagnosis of a mental health disorder and a substance use disorder with alcohol. I worked really hard my whole life to hide my illnesses from the public because of the stigma around these disorders in the general public, but especially in the Muslim community. Unfortunately, my illnesses were exposed publicly starting last year. After being sober for years, I all of a sudden became the face of a community scandal in the community I've grown up serving. I was ousted, shunned, and isolated without ever knowing why. Then the man I married ghosted me out of nowhere and left without any explanation. This would destroy any person, but for me, with a dual diagnosis, a fear of abandonment, and attachment issues, it demolished me. But the police didn't know that when they arrested me. I relapsed back into drinking. This led me to an event where I tried to get an explanation from my ex. Later, I would find out from doctors I was in a psychosis. While I was trying to get an explanation, the situation escalated and the police was called on me. I was arrested and a restraining order placed on me. After that, I fell back into heavily drinking and contacting my ex because I wasn't sure how to live without understanding why the love of my life left me without any explanation. This led to the police being called on me multiple times, resulting in 4 hospitalizations and 4 incarcerations in 1 year. All I needed was help, but instead I got met with the police over and over and over again. I got no help. With each incarceration, it made my mental health get worse and my substance use more and more. If we had the HEART program, that initial 911 call, I would have received help. A clinician would have come out who would have immediately recognized that I needed dire mental health. That is just one call could have saved me of now over a year plus of struggle. That's why I'm here to humanize and talk about how vital the HEART program is and why council cannot drag their feet on implementing HEART. We have a mental health emergency we have no resources to address them. On top of that, why would I trust a police force that is trained by the world's most powerful terrorist organization, the Israeli Defense Force? We sit comfortably here while the terrorist entity that trains Raleigh Police Force are currently bombing a population that is over 50% of kids. The people of Gaza have no food, water, electricity, and our police officers are trained by a terrorist organization who breaks international law every single day. How can we expect a police force that is trained by a terrorist organization whose only intent is to kill to have any compassion for those with mental health disorders? Again, I'm here to voice my support for the HEART program as an activist, but more importantly, as someone who suffers from a mental health disorder. Please don't drag your feet on this, and please get into this year's budget.
Our city manager is bringing something to us this fall. Thank you. Hua Huang?
Hey, good evening. So first, thank you for mentioning that you support the Israelite, because you basically had just come out as making it perfectly clear that you have completely ignored the thousands and over thousands of suffering and deaths from the Palestinian side, in which we had a rally the day before the gathering from the Greater Jewish Federation of Raleigh. And I would strongly recommend that the mayor and city council please do a research on the entire history of what happened in Palestine before stating which side you support and so forth. The number is staggering between the situation. So, on to what I was about to talk about. Today, I want to bring back, and I think many people before me also brought up, the resolution with regard to the call for reparation. Let me just bring that up. And I'm going to quote. Here in your resolution, you said, be resolved by the City Council of the City of Raleigh that apologizes for the Raleigh's designing and implementing urban renewal program that destroyed multiple thriving African American communities in Raleigh. The way I see it, you are still doing that with how you voted on the Dick's Edge study without any actual further community engagement and outreach to the people and finding out how you can address the need for affordable housing, with the fact that I know that Shaw University did not do the community outreach that they should be doing with the 2 extra months that was given for them between April to June. The problem here is that you're not, neither in both of these cases is, again, the lack of community engagement, the community outreach that's needed to find out what the people actually want to see, with finding out what people actually, how people envision Raleigh should grow and change. And now we also had the bus rapid transit that's looming, and also the Moore Square situation as well with the development. Well, not really sure how that's going to be addressed with the unhoused population. Currently, with Raleigh Housing Authority, I know that you have over 10,000 vouchers on a waiting list, and they're going to put a pause on that. If you had 10,000 people on a waiting list for housing, You should not be entertaining any idea of luxury housing. You should be putting in your thought on low-income housing and just put a moratorium on any luxury building until you can address that 10,000 waiting list.
Thank you. Hua.
Thank you.
Next, we have Trey Brooks.
Hello, I'm Trey Brooks. I'm Haley Brooks' father. Going to try my best to get through all this. There's a lot here. Madam Mayor, city members, I stand before you a broken father, still coping with the fact that I need to stand before you. On November 19, 2022, our family got up early, decided to start one of the busiest stretches of our lives as a family of 5, marked by many celebrations, the first of which was Haley's first time performing in the Raleigh Christmas parade. What was excitement quickly turned into what was not only the worst day of myself, my wife, and our 2 remaining earthly children's life, not only the worst day of many of the family and friends' lives, but was the worst day for many of the children, grown-up participants, parade observers, volunteers, and first responders' lives. Each day, my wife and I, by the strength of God, get out of bed and fight to give our 2 children as much of a normal life as we can, while trying to carry on Haley's legacy and seeking some kind of justice for all those hurt by her loss. We want to make sure the possibility of anything like this happening again is as limited as possible. The strength of God comes in the form of family, friends, members of our church, our kids' school, members from our local community, the Raleigh community, from strangers as far away as New Zealand who reached out about how they were devastated by the events that day. We have built relationships with people that were there that day that were gracious enough to reach out through their own traumas to check on us and have become like family to us. Family, friends, and strangers don Shine Like Haley shirts, write it on their cars, and try to actually live out the spirit of Haley in their day-to-day life. So her spirit is carried on, and we know that we aren't alone in this journey. Others have reached out as how Haley can be honored in this year's parade. We're so thankful for everyone trying to honor her, but we find the last question difficult to answer, and I'll tell you why. See, our family has been very troubled with the information we have learned through the City Council over the last month. We were troubled to learn that the city denied the permit for this year's parade rather than enacting change that would have put safety measures that have substance in place and allow the parade to go on. We were hurt and offended when you, Mayor Baldwin, pointed to our family as a cause for the parade being canceled. The city's official statement, as well as your statement, made the claim that the parade was being canceled to honor Haley out of respect for the family. However, neither you nor anyone from the city has ever bothered to contact us following the tragic death of our daughter to ask whether we would consider it an honor for the city to cancel this year's parade. Had you contacted us, you would have heard from us that the best way to honor Haley's memory would have been for the city to conduct a thorough and transparent investigation into what went wrong. You would have learned that our greatest wish would be for the city and the organizations involved with this parade to enact common sense protections that should have been in place last year. You would have learned that folks from other communities have reached out to our family to ask how they could honor Haley and what they could do to make their parade safer. But what did the city of Raleigh do? It appears that 11 months after Haley's death, you have done absolutely nothing. No reports performed and shared with the family and the public. No outside consultants were retained to advise the city on how to ensure this never happens again. No public meetings or substantive discussions on ways to make the Christmas parade and all public city events safer for the public. No action at all, just lip service. And instead of doing what it takes to keep the children of this community safe, you simply denied the permit and canceled the parade. And then you tried to point to my family as a cause of the cancellation, which could not be further from the truth. How could you or the city council, and I acknowledge that some of you did not know what was happening, pretend to cancel the parade in Haley's honor? Particularly when not a single person, not you, Madam Mayor, a member of this council or the city staff ever reached out to our family to ask us whether canceling the parade would honor us. Since you did not reach out, I'm here to tell you what would honor Haley, and that would be to immediately enact comprehensive safety measures as well as procedures to make sure that they're being adhered to ensure the parade can be held safely. And what about the parents and children that witnessed this horrible tragedy horrible tragedy? Has the city reached out to those families or provided healing opportunities? What has the city done to ensure that its parades will not inflict this kind of pain in the future for parents and children? The best I can tell, the city rolled on with 2 more parades this year, but did nothing of substance to ensure the safety of the community. Thank God no other children were hurt or killed. In the minutes from 12/6/2022, Council Member Patton asked that staff, and I quote, the staff share any lessons learned following the tragedy at the Raleigh Christmas parade. I can't say for a fact whether there were any responses provided, but the minutes do not indicate any. Has the City Council followed up on these lessons? Why haven't these lessons been shared with the community? Based on my review of the City Council's minutes, it looks like it wasn't until September 19th, ironically 10 months from the day of the event, after canceling the 2023 Christmas parade, that the parade was discussed again. At this meeting, Jennifer Martin of the Greater Raleigh Merchants Association and others spoke about the impact to the parade to the community, and Ms. Martin spoke to the safety measures Shop Local intended to implement. I can't speak to the guidelines derived by Shop Local, other than I would have hoped they would have put more thought into the age of the driver, that they employed outside specialists to develop those standards, and they not only created standards, but have developed procedures to make sure the standards are strictly followed. There are a couple key points I want the council to understand. First, the NTSB identified the dangers associated with parades in 2013 and passed down to the League of Cities and Counties, which was shared with their constituents, a series of common sense safety protocols that need to be employed to keep the community safe. Second, the city and its partners in this parade chose to operate with no safety standards and not only put the community at risk. The capital city of the great state of North Carolina, who should be setting the standards for all cities across the state, intentionally turned a blind eye to safety and allowed the parade to be operated in a manner that led to a predictable consequence, Haley's death. Billed as the largest parade between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, the community whose children participate in or otherwise bring their children to experience the parade expect a level of safety. The city worked with the parade organizers to create the illusion of a safe, family-friendly event. However, we have since learned the city views their role as collecting a permit fee and the tax revenue dollars which the event generated. 4, the city has taken zero responsibility for its role in the tragedy and has buried its head in the sand. While other cities and towns made safety a priority, hired safety consultants to come in, many implementing changes in the matter of a couple of weeks, many of those towns didn't stop there, but spent months and money preparing to make this year's parade even safer, establishing not only protocols, but ways to make sure that they are being followed. Yet here we are, instead of working to make a change, putting in the time and employing those with the know-how to make it safer, you decide to cancel it without many people within the city government even expecting. Although there are many parties culpable for the gross negligence which led to the loss of my daughter's life, I'm here to ask you to do your part to ensure common sense safety measures are enacted and enforced to protect our children. Make sure float drivers are old enough, at least 25 years old, have a safe driving record, and have hauling and training and experience. Make sure vehicles and floats have basic safety measures like brakes with appropriate fail-safes. Make sure vehicles and floats have passed safety inspections and are registered to be on the road. These and a number of other basic safety measures are common sense. The families and this community were lulled into believing that the city was already taking these basic steps to ensure the events are safe. Do it. Do it now. Don't make excuses. Don't blame the potential for state legislation. Don't do the minimum. Aim higher. Do better. This is the capital city. And please don't blame our family for canceling the Christmas parade. You had 11 months to ensure that this wonderful Raleigh tradition can go on with basic safety measures in place. You have done nothing so far, but it is not too late, particularly when the well-being of our children is at stake. This is how Haley and our family could be honored.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here and expressing what you have experienced, and I can't even imagine. That is the end of our meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we could have Nicole
Where's
come up.
Nicole?
She came in right after, when she came in when William was
Okay,
talking.
I couldn't, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
can't.
I wanted to wait to the end.
Okay.
I do apologize for my tardiness. I never aim to be late. Okay. Today I want to speak about the continuance and escalation of a hate crime against me. A hate crime, is a crime that is motivated in whole or substantial part by bias against certain personal characteristics of people. For me, that's gender, race, disability, and socioeconomic status. While any crime has a negative impact on the victim, hate crimes impact victims on a much deeper and emotional level, and the impact is wider, creating fear and community unrest with those who share the victim's characteristics. There are many types of underlying crimes that, when combined with biased intent, can be considered hate crimes. The whole community, including our youth, are being affected in a negative way. Pay attention to the rape and assaults and disrespect increasing among them. It's not just one thing with me, it's several. The complaint they all have in common is me, but different things. They think that I think I'm all that, I'm a prostitute, I walk too sexy, I'm not pretty, I'm not worth earning, I'm not worth talking to, I'm lonely and miserable, I'm upset, I'm not their preference. I couldn't care less. I wouldn't have a man who would be so disgustingly disrespectful to any woman or person, period, because it's an indication that he has some deep-seated issue. With the negligence to rectify this issue has led to is me being harassed in other places, Whole Foods, Weaver Street Markets, Publix, downtown streets, and Oak City staff, Alton, Patricia, Amber, and others. The act itself is very egregious, yet more and more people become involved. Some of them don't even know why, and may not even want to, but they do because some narcissists project their own weaknesses into people because they are insecure and not totally accepting of their own weaknesses. You choose to entertain some insolent degenerate running around acting like he is some type of authority on a subject he probably knows little about and or performs poorly in because he is loud, obnoxious, intrusive, and this is what people feed off? People lack willpower to oppose things that they know are wrong, and we need to do some work in this area. More than that, why are the victimizers being protected? I have asked so many people for help and have received next to none. So I decided a little while ago that if no one wants to stand for me, if no one will stand with me, I'll stand all alone, and the people will hear what I have to say. I took it to the streets for myself, and on Saturday at 2:45 a.m., I took my sign and I protested by my lonesome to Circa and to Boxcar. Not many were there, but the staff definitely was. They heard me, and the offenders at the time did. You should know they made very little comments. So I'm just saying, and this is my last, okay?
Your time is up, please. Thank you.
That's fine, but I'm just gonna leave with this. Stop disrespecting me, stop being rude, stop gaslighting me. Most of all, stop sexually harassing me. Stop sexually harassing me, stop sexually harassing me. Okay, this is something that could have been summed up. Brian and Jared, the managers of the bars, need to do better. The city needs to do better, and it's because of the negligence. You're complaining about the uprising and the increase in the crime. This is a crime. Deal with this one.
We have had officers follow up with you. Our Acorns unit. No. Okay, Nicole, we will. Okay, thank you.
Stop trying to avoid it, because I will go further.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. That is the end of our meeting. We are now adjourned.